Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to this very special edition of the One Bitcoin Show. What's it say below Bitcoin? Today is August the 28th, 2018. Strong hand. Long-term thinking, unconfiscatable. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. We all believe that. Everyone on this show believes that today, that one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Charlie Lee is back on the show. Last time he was on the show was August the 31st. It's almost been a year. You can check out that link below. You can check out all sorts of links below. I just want to say that this guy, I think of him, everyone associates Litecoin with him. This is an old school Bitcoin dude, okay? So one day he's a smart dude. He makes up his own coin. He didn't know what was going to happen. It was all fun and games back then. He is a hardcore Bitcoin guy. So I'm so proud to have him on the show, to be part of this circle of people who are hardcore Bitcoin people. And yeah, he's got an altcoin too, of course. He's going to talk about that today, but I just wanted to give a little, intro here because he's been in Bitcoin for so long and he knows it's the rock. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. So Charlie Lee, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Adam. It's been a while.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a year. But I mean, you've been super busy and we're going to talk about all the things that have changed in the last year. But one thing that I am fascinated by, and in terms of Litecoin, it's something that I have already talked about on my show a few times. I all of a sudden get word there's going to be this Litecoin Summit. And, I have been to cryptocurrency events and Bitcoin events, and they all got ICO stuff mixed into them. And then I've heard about some Bcash event in Asia. But otherwise, a big altcoin event. I mean, this is top tier type of stuff here. This is the South San Francisco Conference Center, which I've spoken at, which is a huge place. It's going to be a big event. So tell us how this all originated and what is going on at the Litecoin Summit in September.
Well, I guess it has a long time coming, right? We haven't had a big or had any Litecoin conference since the creation of Litecoin in 2011. So last year, there was all this hype going on. We decided to do a conference. Actually, a bunch of volunteers came together and started organizing this conference. And the Litecoin Foundation supported them, and we kind of went with it.
All right. So, you're expecting quite a few people because it's a large location. It's September 14th and 15th. For those of you who are interested, I do link to it below. So who is the Litecoin Foundation behind this? Because again, Litecoin is decentralized. Do they have a big role in this?
Yeah, the Litecoin Foundation is behind it. We're supporting it, and we're behind it. But you're right. It's a decentralized currency, just like Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin conferences don't all have to be organized by Bitcoin Foundation or anyone. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to run a Litecoin conference, go ahead. But obviously, the Litecoin community is a lot smaller than the Bitcoin community. So we haven't had a conference yet. So this will be the first of many, I hope.
But at the same time, it is a lot smaller than the Bitcoin community, but it's clearly a lot larger than all the other altcoin communities. Because I mean, this is a big. That's what shocked me. I'm like, oh, there's going to be a Litecoin conference. I really have not heard of another altcoin having a big conference like this. Again, the Bcash, and we'll talk about Bcash soon. They're quite centralized. I know they've had some big giant meetings in Asia, and I guess Dash has little meetings scattered all around the world. I gotta say what I know about there. But otherwise, this seems big. Now, I mentioned the Litecoin Foundation. Real quick, for the people who don't know, what is the Litecoin Foundation? I think that's an interesting thing.
Litecoin Foundation is a nonprofit that we started early last year to focus on development and adoption of Litecoin. So we raise money from donations, from selling merchandises, and we put that money towards hiring developers and doing this Litecoin Summit.
Okay. Now, I know there are going to be some good speakers. There are going to be some good people in attendance. Now, I want to ask you about a sponsor that really stuck out to me there. I see Gemini is one of the platinum sponsors. Am I wrong by saying they don't sell Litecoin, do they, Gemini?
They don't yet, but they've announced that they have approval to start trading Litecoin. So my guess is they will soon. I don't see why they would support or sponsor Litecoin Summit unless they want to deal with Litecoin. So
yeah. Well, that clears up a lot for me right there, because I was like, what? Wait a second. They don't sell it yet, but they're a huge sponsor. So that is okay. That's good to know, that clarification. I'm not making any predictions, but I guess soon enough, if they're sponsoring such a conference, they're big fans over there. Definitely very, very interesting. Now, you've got some. Well, I want to say at an event like this, I mean, it's going to be all Litecoin talk. I assume there are going to be no ICOs there, correct?
Well, I'm not a big fan of ICOs, but I mean, ICOs do exist. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of ICOs there, just like any other conference. Yeah, it's
in terms of, but the thing is, though, how many ICOs can you build smart contracts on Litecoin?
It's similar to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what you consider a smart contract. So if you consider like multi-sig solutions a smart contract, then yes, you can do smart contracts, but it's not Turing complete like Ethereum.
Okay.
And for good reasons.
But now, so with that in mind, though, so RSK RSK is working on smart contracts on Bitcoin. Are they working on smart contracts on Litecoin also?
Yeah, and speaking of that, RSK also has someone coming to the Litecoin Summit to speak. Yep. So Diego will be there.
Oh, what's the? I read it on your Twitter. What's the name again?
Diego.
The person that's going to be there for RSK?
Diego is his name.
I hear. You hear me, Charlie?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. There was a little bit of it. Yeah. Who's going to be representing RSK there at the Litecoin?
Yeah, it's going to be Diego Gutierrez Zaldivar.
Okay. Quite a name there.
His Twitter handle is DIEGUITO.
Now, obviously, this is being held straight up north of Silicon Valley. Is Coinbase going to have a presence there at all? Or I mean, they sell Litecoin. Do you know any? I mean, and you once worked for Coinbase, so I was wondering.
Coinbase they don't really do conferences that much. I've talked to them and they don't do conferences. When I was at Coinbase, we rarely did any conferences or go to any conferences. So I didn't really expect them to sponsor us or maybe they might have some people come. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume some random dudes. I mean, you just go at 101 and you're going to be there. I would assume some people would be there. All right, going back to, so when I brought up ICOs beforehand, I've just so anyone can have a booth there. Then you're saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, ICOs aren't going to go to the Litecoin Summit to kind of pitch their ICOs. So I mean, most of the sponsors have something to do with Litecoin, and they're not like pitching their own token.
Now, with speaking of the word token, there's another sponsor, and this is going to lead into another subject matter. Token Pay. They are a sponsor. Now, I believe it is the Litecoin Foundation. It has something to do with Token Pay in terms of purchasing a bank. Can you elaborate on this? I might have just butchered the whole thing there.
Sure.
Tell us about Token Pay. Tell us about the bank rumor from July also.
Well, it's not a rumor, right? So we've announced it like a month or so ago that we now have a stake, 9.9% stake in a German bank.
Now, when you say we,
as in the Litecoin Foundation.
Okay, there we go.
Right. So yeah, I kind of want to make that separate, right? The Litecoin Foundation, it's not. Some people are saying like Litecoin bought a bank, but like Litecoin Network has nothing to do with the bank. We, as Litecoin Foundation, we bought a stake in the bank to try to help with Litecoin adoption. So that's what we did. We had a deal with Token Pay, who originally bought the stake in the bank. So now they also have a 9.9% stake in the bank. And with it, we're hoping to create more crypto solutions via the banking route. So having a bank support crypto solutions and kind of support that for their customers.
All right. Before we get back into what token pay is, I wanted to bring up like a wave of the future that I saw from this this financial agreement that the two groups have here. I feel that there will be more and more crypto-related companies, foundations, whatever you want to say, buying banks to make the fiat to crypto transition easier. And at the same time, there are going to be more and more crypto related entities that are going to become so wealthy that they can purchase banks. Do you see this as a trend in the future? Where do you see banks going in the future in relation to crypto and crypto organizations purchasing banks? Is this a new trend, what you're part of here?
Well, I think the kind of working with the existing financial regulation or financial system is really important for cryptocurrency. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I joined Coinbase 4 years ago, because I figured that we needed to work with the existing financial system and make it easy for people to get in and out of crypto and connect with the fiat rails. So speaking of Coinbase, I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase buys a bank or becomes a bank themselves. They're kind of, that wouldn't surprise me if that happens in the near future.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're big enough, right? So, I mean, I obviously don't know anything, and I don't have any inside information about that, but it just wouldn't surprise me. And yeah, I think a lot of companies, even Binance came out and said they're buying a bank or creating a bank or something like that. So I think more and more crypto companies are definitely going to be working more closely with banks. I think it's really important to make crypto easier for the mass.
Yeah. Wow. That's, you're playing out the whole string of events here. Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if Coinbase bought a bank. I mean, they're almost a bank in a certain way right now. Everybody, remember, pound that freaking like button if you're loving this. Spread the word. I do a news show here every day, disruptmeister.com. You can see all my old shows. All right, let's go back into token pay, though. What did they have an ICO? What is token pay exactly? There's been confusion on that too.
Token pay is just another token. They did a token sale last year. Yeah, I guess you can call it an ICO, but most people like to use the word token sale these days. But they basically the reason why, I mean, I don't like ICOs in general because a lot of them don't follow through with what they promise. And 90%. They turn out to be, I think, like most of them, they're either like outright scams or they turn out to be scams because their incentives aren't correct. They get the money up front and they don't spend it to actually fulfill whatever they promised promise to the people who purchase the token. But from looking at token pay, they've been working hard on fulfilling their promises and buying a bank and doing this like merchant services, debit card and stuff like that with a bank is what they promised. So they're kind of fulfilling that, so which is nice. So that's why one of the reasons why I decided to it would be fine for us to partner with them.
Well, I will say this, they're going to be at the Litecoin Summit. So if people are in the Bay Area on September 14th and 15th, I guess you can ask them yourselves, people, if you're curious about these token pay and all this stuff that we're talking about. Oh yeah. Yeah,
and if you're not in the Bay Area, you can also fly to San Francisco. We have a Cheap Air is doing a discount for people flying in for the Litecoin Summit. You can go to litecoinsummit.org and check out the discount and check out who's speaking. I think it's I'm very excited about it because we have a lot of like amazing speakers. Yeah.
I love how you said I'm very excited about it, and you say it so calmly. You need like Adam Meister out there saying, "Yeah, baby, this is it." Litecoin, but keep going with what you're saying. Your excitement's different than my excitement. Everyone, compare and contrast these two things here.
I think everyone's excitement is different from your excitement. So, but yeah, so yeah, we have a lot of amazing speakers. I'm happy to know that a lot of mostly like Bitcoin focus people are coming to the Litecoin Summit to talk about Bitcoin and Litecoin and just tech in general and kind of push this whole ecosystem forward. So I'm happy to see that.
and I'm happy you pointed that out, actually. I mean, at the beginning of the show, I tried to kind of imply that too. I mean, you're a Bitcoin guy too. I mean, you have been in this for a long time, and they definitely overlap. There's a Bitcoin person at a Litecoin event. It makes sense. Now, the whole ICOs coming to the Litecoin event, I'm not down with that, but not that many are going to be there. But I of course assume there are going to be plenty of Bitcoin related businesses and speakers there. If there's any one speaker you're super duper excited about, or you think that the people here want to hear about, or they don't know about yet, mention a couple of them. Mention some speakers here.
Let's see. I mean, there's a lot, right? So Elizabeth Stark, CEO of Lightning Labs, is going to be speaking. So Lightning Labs, as people know, is one of the big proponents of Lightning Network. And
and Lightning Network is going to be huge for Bitcoin. Is Lightning Network going to be on Litecoin also, or I mean?
Yeah, it's already live on Litecoin.
It's already live on Litecoin.
Yeah, so Lightning Network is awesome. It's still like in beta, so there's still some bugs to be ironed out. But people are working hard on it, and yeah, excited to see progress with that and see atomic swaps over Lightning. I think that's going to happen. That's going to be really like used by everyone.
Oh wow, that's going to be turning your Litecoin into Bitcoin through across atomic swaps. When you foresee that happening on a safe basis, I guess.
On a safe basis, I mean, it's safe now to do it if people have done a few of those. The thing is, it's more about easy to do, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think the key thing for Lightning Network is the final step is just to make it easy for anyone to use. Right now, it's developers are using it. So it's not easy to install Lightning Network node. It's not easy to run it, to do payments, to open channels. But I think the key step is people are working on making the UX better. And once the UX is there, then anyone can use it, and that's when we really get to the next level. Yes,
yeah. In the crypto space, in the Bitcoin space, we're waiting on a lot of UX improvements. I mean, it's the wild, wild west. It's still hard. Our mothers can't use just about anything that has to do with Bitcoin yet. But be patient, people. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Pound that freaking like button. All right, some other speakers. We said Elizabeth Stark. Who else is someone that's you're excited about?
So Gemini's VP of Engineering.
Oh, okay.
Eric Weiner will be there speaking. Let's see, Derek Capo will be there, CEO of TokenPay. So he'll probably give an update on the bank deal and what's going on there. As I mentioned before, Diego will be there talking about RSK and RSK on Litecoin. Let's see who else. Bill Barheit will be there, CEO of Abra. Adam Draper. Yeah.
This is good. Yeah. This is all sorts of crypto people way beyond Litecoin here. So this is this is going to be a fun time indeed. Now you gave those logistical things. Yeah, you can fly into. There's cheap air. Wow, I didn't know about all that. Well, let's move on a little bit. We'll talk some more.
Before we move on, are you going to come?
Well, no, that's the thing. I told you that but now I appreciate that the people putting this on didn't put it on Rosh Hashanah and they didn't put it on Yom Kippur. They put it in between the two. And as everyone knows here, I'm going to be back in Baltimore for the high holidays, but I can't just leave Baltimore and right after Rosh Hashanah, then come back right before Yom Kippur. It's very hectic. I mean, if someone wants to get me a plane ticket and arrange the logistics, it's pretty hard for me logistically, being an East Coast Jewish guy who has to be there for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. But again, I appreciate it, that you didn't have. There's so many events they have on Yom Kippur and they have on Rosh Hashanah, and then all the Jewish crypto people can't come. And apparently, there are a lot of Jewish people that like crypto, from what I've seen. But I would love to be there, and I love the South San Francisco Conference Center. And you never know, maybe someone will hook me up here if you want to. Hey man, I would love to be there. It's a beautiful location. I know some Airbnbs nearby. People can stay at for cheap too. You can walk there if someone wants to contact me about that. But
yep, we just announced there about like a dozen or so YouTube stars that are going to be there. So you're missing out.
Oh God, miss it. I got it. It's hard to get, with a little time period like that from Baltimore to San Francisco to Baltimore again, and then fast for Yom Kippur. Anyway, but I encourage everyone. I would love to be there definitely. And the South San Francisco Conference Center is awesome. It's a good venue, big venue. Are you going to have when the event that I was at there in January, there was the big room and then there was a small room, which was actually for ICOs. You're going to have two different speakers going at the same time, or is it just going to be one main speaker the whole time?
It's going to be one main speaker. So we're going to have booths there, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, some of the stuff is still up in the air, and I'm not down to the kind of the nitty-gritty detail level of this conference.
Okay.
So we have a lot of people handling that, which is great.
Well, again, if anyone ever has any doubts that Litecoin is a top tier altcoin, I mean, I always discuss on the show, well, what makes an altcoin a top tier? Because most of the altcoins I don't give a darn about at all, but they're going to be ones that survive, that are top tier ones that are, on Gemini, on Coinbase. That's something that makes them top tier. But also when you can get a community together to have a big event like this in the belly of the beast, San Francisco, I mean, you're doing pretty well for yourself. You're definitely got a big following here. And then I want to point something out here. There are going to be some people that are going to, it's just so funny how social media works. Because I'm saying the word Litecoin, people are going to say, Adam, you said to buy Litecoin. You must hold so much Litecoin. Oh my God. The assumptions that people make, the nitpickers out there, how do you, as I've said, in the last year, so many things have changed and for the better. But you've just become a tremendous name way beyond cryptocurrency. You've been on mainstream media. How do you deal with all the nitpickers now? You really take a lot from the social media crowd. How have you dealt with it, or have you changed at all?
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, some people may have. I've stopped responding to most of the trolls on Twitter recently. It's just I've gotten so much hate from people that it's just not worth it. Yeah, I think it's probably for the best. So, been kind of, yeah.
You know what? Because the trolls they just want you to waste your time. You're in motion, and they want to slow you down. I don't know what they want to do half the time. There's some people that are just sociopaths out there. Hey, sorry.
I mean, you can't fault a lot of these people. I mean, the price has dropped like quite a bit since December of last year. So, I mean, it's people have really invested more than they can afford to lose, and they're really hurting. So, I mean, I can see why they would hate on me or hate on people who like others, right? So it's kind of par for the course.
They're valuing their wealth in fiat, though. I mean, and again, in terms of Bitcoin, Litecoin has gone down in value also. But again, if you guys got into Litecoin, you got any of these cryptocurrencies that are truly decentralized, which are few. You're thinking long term here. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Some people started buying Litecoin on credit cards. I mean, it is personal responsibility. I mean, they're scapegoating you, but I mean, if you bought Litecoin on a credit card, and that's people, just don't go too crazy. That's something that's happened in the last year too. We've gone through some irrational exuberance. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, for people like you and me, and like people who've been in this space for a few years, they kind of understand what they're getting into, right? So you're buying Litecoin or Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, you kind of are invested in the future of money, right? There's this meme going on, been like an old meme where the thing is like in the future, you don't sell your coin, right? You just spend it. So you never need to sell. And that's kind of the future we're building towards. But a lot of these new people got in and think of Bitcoin, Litecoin as investments. So if you think of it as an investment and you bought in at like $300 or $200, and now it's at 60, then yeah, it's a horrible investment. And that's why there's this like HODL mentality, which is when it's dropping, you don't sell. You just like wait it out, right? As long as you didn't invest more than you can afford to lose, just wait it out. It's going to come back. And that's what I believe in. That's what most people believe in. It may take a few years, it may be a few months, but it's going to come back.
You said some people consider it an investment. I'd like to add to that. Some people consider it a very short-term investment, where they thought they're going to buy it and they're going to sell it the next month or the next week, not even taking into account long-term capital gains versus short-term capital gains and taxes and stuff like that. It's just, a wild, irrational exuberance that has occurred. But anyway, I want to move on with the people who have bought it for semi-irrational reasons. I mean, what do you think about the theory, the Coinbase theory, that there were so many people just buying Litecoin because it was the cheapest thing on Coinbase? And now, do you think now that Ethereum Classic is the cheapest thing on Coinbase, will that make a difference for Litecoin at all?
I don't think people bought Litecoin just because it was the cheapest. I think people buy Litecoin on Coinbase specifically. I think people buy it in addition to Bitcoin, right? They're not just going to buy Litecoin and not Bitcoin. But then the one thing about Coinbase now is Litecoin is the one that is least confusing. There's only one Litecoin on Coinbase. There are 2 Bitcoins and two Ethereums on Coinbase.
Great point, dude. Pound that like button. That's a very good point.
So maybe people buy Litecoin because it's less confusing.
That is an excellent point. I had not thought about that yet. Wow. Well, I think a lot of people they diversify for the sake of diversification. Well, I can't just buy this Bitcoin. I better buy these other things too. Don't know what the heck they are, but I'll buy them also. Now, speaking about other coins that are on Coinbase, and something that you've been somewhat outspoken about, I guess, on social media is Bcash. I want to talk a little bit about that and about the Bitmain situation. I mean, you're involved, all sorts of miners and stuff. I mean, back in the day, this is not that long ago, when people aren't going to remember this at all, even if it was like a little bit over a year ago, Litecoin was the first one to go SegWit. And you had some discussions with miners and stuff. So you're familiar with miners. You're familiar with Bitmain. What do you think is going on with Bitmain right now? That they were going to have an IPO? Are they trying to bail themselves out stealthily? Are they holding too much Bcash? Do you think Bcash is about to split into 6 different pieces? Give us your take on that whole Bitmain Bcash ecosystem.
So Bitmain last year, they were upset with Bitcoin Core. And the reason they gave was because they thought that Bitcoin Core developers were holding back Bitcoin, and potentially they think that it hurts their profit margins. There's this other theory, which is that they are doing ASIC boost mining on Bitcoin, and SegWit actually breaks that. So ASIC boost means that they're making whatever. They're paying like 10-15% less in electricity costs, which is huge for their revenue. Or so if SegWit breaks ASIC boost, they're against SegWit. That's why they're trying to block the SegWit upgrade, and that's why they supported Bitcoin Cash. So they kind of also wanted to create a separate coin so that kind of there's balance of power where they can control Bitcoin Cash, which they kind of have control right now. And yeah, so I think it was pretty dumb of them to sell all their Bitcoins and put it into Bitcoin Cash. They basically traded a highly liquid coin that's valuable for something that has very low liquidity and that is very speculative. So now they have a ton of Bitcoin Cash and they can't really sell them without crashing the market. So pretty dumb, in my opinion. So I'm not familiar with like their IPO or why they're doing it. I guess companies successfully enough, they want to go IPO and kind of have a payout for their early employees and the founders. So that's kind of expected.
Okay. All right. So there's your Bcash thoughts of the day. So you have no thoughts on the future of Bitmain. Because they're a tremendous player in the cryptocurrency space. They're valued at all sorts of high levels here. If something bad happens to them, it could be seen as a bad for the crypto space.
Yeah, it's good and bad, I guess. Some people want to see more competition in this space. So if Bitmain loses a bit of power, then there's more space for other miner manufacturers to come up with new products to compete. So that's kind of good. It's sort of bad that someone so powerful is so invested in Bcash and want Bitcoin to fail, which is kind of scary. But I think Bitcoin is much bigger than Bitmain, and if you kind of fight Bitcoin, you're going to lose. So
you see if Bcash keeps on going out there saying they're the real Bitcoin, you don't see a bright future. Do you see them splitting? Because there is, I don't know if you've heard about this, November 15th, there might be a fork. They were founded as a fork. So, I mean, the precedent is there. Could they fork themselves to oblivion?
I think it's inevitable, actually, because the idea behind Bcash is that if there's any disagreement, you fork and find out who wins, right? So, and with so many powerful kind of rich people behind Bcash, with Roger and Calvin Ayre and Craig Wright and Jihan Wu, right? All these potentially billionaires, 4 of them fighting for what they think is the real Bitcoin. There's bound to be disagreements. So I think it's inevitable that they're gonna like tear themselves apart.
Okay. This will be we're keeping an eye on it over here. Trust me. I want to move back to Litecoin real quick. Everyone who's familiar with this channel knows that I always talk about the 2020 Bitcoin halving. And then some people will be like, why don't you talk about the 2019 Litecoin halving? Now, part of the reason I do not is because, Charlie, as you remember, the 2015 Litecoin halving, it wasn't that big of an event. Not that much really happened leading up to it. This was back in the doldrums of Litecoin when like all the people on BTC-E were saying it's dead, it's only $2. Little did they know. But what do you anticipate here for this Litecoin halving in 2019? Do you think that it could be the thing that wakes the outskirts of the crypto community up to the fact that Bitcoin is about to have a halving less than a year later? Will the Litecoin Foundation be reminding people? Because first of all, people should have bought Litecoin and Bitcoin because they have halvings, because the new supply gets cut in half. Most people don't even know about that. I mean, I've just said a million things here, so I'll let you take it away. But how many people actually know about the Litecoin halving who own Litecoin?
I would say most people don't. I mean, most people who bought Bitcoin and Litecoin or ICOs, they don't really know about the underlying technology and why they have value in the first place. I actually think the halving really won't do much to the price. I think the price is priced in, right? So everyone knows about the halving; it's going to happen, and it might affect mining hash rate. Like miners might turn off, right? So it could cause some miners to turn off because it's not profitable for them to mine anymore, and then the difficulty will adjust, and everything will go back to normal. But yeah, the supply will have, or the constant new coins being created will have, so that's going to potentially cause a upward price pressure because there's less coins dumped on the market. But I don't think, and then potentially because of that, people may buy the coins ahead of the halving because they think that that's going to cause the price to go up. So it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you never know, right? Like you said, in 2015, the Litecoin mining rewards halved, and the price didn't really move much. And I think Bitcoin mining has halved previously, and the price didn't move much. Or the price might have moved, but it might not be related to the halving, or it might be. I think it's, in a grand scheme of thing, the halving is actually good because it reduces the supply, or actually keeps the supply constant, right? Asymptotically increasing towards 84 million Litecoins and 21 million Bitcoins. So that's good as a monetary policy, but day-to-day price movements, I'm not sure will have much effect.
Well, leading up to the last Bitcoin halving, it moved up in price. It didn't move up in price. I mean, people started hearing about it. They thought they weren't going to be able to get as much afterwards. I mean, some of the miners they weren't selling as much. So there was definitely upward pressure for the Bitcoin one last time.
How sure are you that it's because of the halving, not something else?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was. The way I recall it going on, I mean, there was more and more talk about it in the mainstream every day, and the price, it was getting more attention. Bitcoin was getting more attention because of the halving. I almost see it. I'm looking at it what I saw back in 2016 as as a marketing thing, that the halving was was marketing Bitcoin and thus created a desire for more people to buy Bitcoin. At the same time, I think Tone Vays explained it, that since miners weren't going to be able to produce as much Bitcoin after the halving, they started hoarding it. They weren't selling as much, so not as much was going on the market. So there was less supply, more demand, and the price was going up. I mean, we'll see again. I think, again, what we can agree on here is that hardly anyone who's involved in the space even knows what a halving is. So when it gets revealed again, when the mainstream media starts talking about it in 2020 in terms of Bitcoin, it's going to be a marketing type of event. People are like, oh, they're going to get confused. They're going to think the supply is going to get cut in half, not the new supply. So people are going to try to buy it. I mean, we shall see. But it is. I do like your take on this, on the Litecoin halving, that maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world.
We still have some time, so we'll talk more when we get there.
Exactly. There's plenty of time. And again, I do wonder now that Litecoin is known, like back in again a year ago, not CNBC, no one was talking about Litecoin or anything like this. Now we've entered a realm where the mainstream financial entities that talk about crypto do talk about Litecoin now also, not just Bitcoin. They also talk about horrible things like Ripple and stuff, but still. So I wonder if they will wake up to the Litecoin halving and start talking about it, and thus that will start the hype for the Bitcoin halving.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I've. But again, we've got some time here. Be long-term thinkers, people. Oh yes, sir.
I can imagine BK telling CNBC audience all about halving and how it works.
Oh yeah, I can imagine him doing the same and then saying buy Ripple or something, or buy metal or whatever. He came on my show and said buy metal. I don't even know what metal. Not like physical metal. There was something called metal. I don't even want to get in. Actually, we're going to talk about some other altcoins in a second, one specifically. But I want to read something that someone sent me. And I don't know how true this is, but here, I've been told that there has been a drop of code commits in Litecoin. The development on Litecoin has been very slow in terms of code changes. Is this true, or what's going on with that?
Well, it's not true. So it's basically FUD that people came up with. So they looked at our master branch. I'm not sure how familiar you are with coding. So there's not at all.
No, please explain a little bit, but so the audience all understands. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's a master branch, which is like the main branch. We work off of a side branch. Like for our 0.16 release, 0.16 release, we work off of the branch called 0.16. And so there's code updates there. And we recently, actually this month, released a release candidate for 0.16. So we've been working on that. And when that is actually finally released, we'll merge all the code from there back into the master branch. And the reason why we do this is because we don't want to kind of litter the master branch with code that is half complete, right? People who are compiling it from source would take the master branch, compile it, and run the code. So you don't want that code to be half broken, right? But when we're developing, the code could potentially be half broken. So, I mean, I think this is just good coding practice to not develop on the master branch. But I guess most other projects do develop on the master branch. And that's why if you just look at the master branch, you will see like we haven't done any commits since April because we've been working on a different branch. Yeah, so it's pure FUD. And
yeah, so that's I like this. Your best practices, you're taking it slow, being careful, is being translated by some into something bad, into being turned into FUD. It's similar to how people FUD the Lightning Network. It's people that stick with basics, that stick with doing things the safe way. People will nitpick at it and say, no, that's failure. It's not being safe. It's fail. Okay, I see where this is.
Yeah, and every time people brought this up to me, I've explained it to them, but FUD is FUD, right? It's just easy to take that picture of GitHub commits and say, look, there's no work being done on Litecoin, and it's because we abandoned it. But we're actually releasing 0.16 soon. We're keeping very close to Bitcoin, and we're working on 0.17 release candidate. So I mean, if you've been following me in Litecoin, you would actually notice every weeks, every month, I'll be posting like new source code or new releases of Litecoin client. So you'll know that we've been working hard on it. But that said, we're also working on other things, right? So Litecoin Foundation is working on the core, Litecoin core. We also work on Loaf Wallet. We work on Litecoin libraries. We work on adoption, talking to merchants, dealing with partnering with people, and also doing this Litecoin Summit. So we're doing a lot of work in terms of like the core Litecoin core code. It's just one of many projects that we're working on.
So guys, remember, follow Charlie Lee on Twitter. He just made an allusion to it. It is linked to below. Everything I talk about in this video is linked to below. Get your t-shirts, your Trezor at my affiliate links. All right. I wanted to mention something. God, what's something that you just said? Anyway, something oh, here we go. Bitcoin. Let's go back to Bitcoin for a second. Oh, no. Something that you mentioned. You mentioned some wallet that you guys are working on. What was that you just mentioned?
Loaf Wallet.
Okay.
Loaf Wallet is a fork of Bread Wallet.
Okay.
So we did a play on words. So ours is called Loaf Wallet for Litecoin. But yeah, it's one of the most popular mobile wallets on iOS and Android.
Okay. So you pointing out very strongly there that there's a lot going on. What is the most exciting thing going on in Litecoin space now that you guys are working on?
I mean, we're not working on it directly, but one of the most exciting thing is Lightning Network, obviously. I'm very excited about progress being made on Lightning Network, which would support both Bitcoin and Litecoin. And eventually Atomic Swap. I think that's going to be like kind of critical for moving forward, how Bitcoin and Litecoin can work together to make to replace fiat as a world currency.
Do you see yourself? I mean, you're a pretty hardcore BTC guy. For the foreseeable future, you see yourself sticking with it. Nothing can change you. Someone asked, is he going to stay as a Bitcoin maximalist? I wouldn't say you're a Bitcoin maximalist per se, but you don't see anything changing in terms of your portfolio or anything like that, getting away from Bitcoin?
No, I made a tweet about this like a couple months ago, right? If you, most people should buy Bitcoin first, right? So Bitcoin is the safest bet. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be, unlike Bcash supporters, unlike what you hear from Bcash supporters, Bitcoin is not going to die. It's not, it's going to be around. It's still going to be the king of cryptocurrency for the foreseeable future, probably my lifetime. And I'm positioning Litecoin as a complement to Bitcoin, right? Working together with Bitcoin. I don't see Litecoin, I'm not like trying to replace Bitcoin. I mean, even when I first created Litecoin, it's not about replacing Bitcoin. It's about silver to Bitcoin's gold, right? So that's always my vision, and that's not going to change.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people get into this space recently. They think Bitcoin is kind of old. It can't scale. It's crap. It can't do like whatever 1 million transactions per second, and therefore it can't survive. There's all these new technology, new coins that do stuff better than Bitcoin that's going to take over. That's all. It's pretty dumb, right? So things, they all come with trade-offs, and Bitcoin is kind of focused on digital gold, right? And it's the most valuable. It's the most censorship-resistant coin. It has the most security, has the most money behind it. It's not going anywhere.
No, the question was asked, but I know you have conviction behind your philosophy. You've stuck with it. You haven't, nothing's changed, although the world has changed and portfolios have changed, and whatever. Your basics have always been there, what you stand for. And that's why I love you on this show and everything. I have your brother had a tweet. He said that, I don't have it, I'm not quoting it directly. In 2028, he didn't think a lot of people would be able to afford 0.1 BTC, 0.1 Bitcoin. Do you see things going in that direction? You agree with your brother that that's a few halvings away. That 0.1 BTC, 0.1 BTC.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people can't afford 0.1 BTC today. right?
Yeah.
So I mean, $700 is still quite a bit of money. So yeah, so like my tweet I did a couple of months ago was saying like buy one BTC because there's not enough BTC for all the millionaires in the world to own one, right? So own one and you'll know that you have something that not all millionaires can have, right? And then after that, then you can buy some Litecoin. You can buy all these other coins and kind of diversify, but at least make sure you hold something that is kind of the most safest.
Yeah, it's the world reserve cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and time has shown, right? When the market crash, everything crashes faster because people switch back to Bitcoin. It's the flight to safety, right? They're buying back the safe asset, which in cryptocurrency space, it's Bitcoin.
Yep. Well, again, you said start with one Bitcoin. That's the name of this show, the One Bitcoin Show. That's what I encourage everyone to make their first goal also, because you're absolutely right. There'll be plenty of millionaires in the future who won't, it'll just be impossible. They won't own one Bitcoin. There won't be enough of Bitcoin out there for them to get. So if you're right now, if you're thinking just, I got to get one, yeah, you'll be in good shape. I think it'll be a rarity to have one in the future. There's no doubt about it. You alluded to diversification there, and I want to get your thoughts on diversifying in the world of crypto. And I'm going to combine it. There's a guy named Josh who sent me some super chat. Thank you, Josh, very much for your questions. On a past show that you were on here, you mentioned Decred. So we're going to talk about, and everybody went, "Oh, Charlie Lee mentioned Decred." It was a huge story. So are you still a fan of Decred? And what do you think about it? And you know, there's something that people could diversify into. For example, what do you think about crypto diversification and all these people saying, "Oh, my crypto, what do they call it? Their crypto folio or whatever, their coin folio." I think it's ridiculous, to tell you that. I mean, I am huge Bitcoin, and then I have a few other things that people have given me and stuff. But and yeah, Litecoin is, I got Litecoin on my Trezor too, of course. But what do you think about diversification and outside of Litecoin and Bitcoin in terms of diversification, and then your thoughts on Decred also?
Yeah, I think diversification is important, right? So to a certain degree, I mean, some people have like 100 altcoins, and I just don't understand what the heck they're doing. I've also met people like randomly who told me their portfolio, which is like 10 different ICO tokens. They don't hold Bitcoin, Litecoin, or Ethereum or Monero. They hold like all these random crap because they think it's going to go up in value more. And I think that's pretty dumb. But I would say like diversify a bit, like 5 or so coins that you think do things a bit differently. Obviously, I like Bitcoin and Litecoin. Not a huge fan of Ethereum, but Ethereum could be a token, a coin that people like. I do like Monero. I think Monero is doing privacy the right way. Not to say Bitcoin and Litecoin won't have more privacy in the future, but at least, yeah, Monero. Yeah.
What do you think about then this one? What do you think about it?
I like it. I like it. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Decred. I've always liked Decred. I think they have a good team, and they're trying to do governance. Yeah, I think they're approaching it right. I like them much better than all these other governance coins. I
mean, how important? How big are these governance coins going to even be now? That seemed to be a trend about a year ago. Now we're moving back toward privacy again, and we're going to talk about privacy in a second.
The thing about all these other governance coins is it seems like they're very centralized, which is these tokens. They're very like trying to create a on-chain governance coin, but then the whole team is so centralized, and if there's anything goes wrong with the team, it crashes the price of the coin. It's kind of just ironic.
Yeah, isn't it? All right, so let's obviously you mentioned Monero. You think they do privacy right. How, we've heard about Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin is going to make transactions more. I've heard it might add to some privacy here. Where do you see Bitcoin and Litecoin going in the privacy direction? And what do you think about privacy altcoins in general? I mean, you did give an opinion on Monero there. Will there really need to be privacy altcoins if Bitcoin gets it right?
Well, first of all, most privacy altcoins don't really do privacy correctly. So they're kind of just marketing over technology. You probably know which ones I'm talking about.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So the ones that do, I would name two coins that really do privacy well, which is Monero and Zcash. Right, Zcash has I would say better privacy, but it's new technology. So it's less well tested than like Monero's ring signatures. But the problem with Zcash is, for one, there's this founder's reward, which is crap for a decentralized currency. The other is that they don't do privacy all the time. So there's some transactions that are non-private, some that are private. And because of that, it really destroys the privacy when you can actually link non-private transaction with private transactions. So I like the fact that Monero does everything private.
Okay.
But there are trade-offs, right? With Monero, because everything's private, transactions are a lot larger. Nodes have to keep track of all the outputs, right? All the unspent transaction outputs, UTXOs, and that it doesn't scale as well. So in terms of like Bitcoin and Litecoin, I think privacy is very important in terms of good sound money. Privacy also, another way you think about it is fungibility.
Yes.
If I get like a $20 bill, I shouldn't be able to tell the difference between two $20 bills, and I should be able to use any $20 bills I have without worrying that there's some drug powder on one and it could be potentially getting me in trouble. But even if you're not doing anything illegal, financial privacy is important. If you get paid your salary in Bitcoin, you don't want to have to buy a cup of coffee and then all of a sudden the barista knows how much money you made. And these days, if you really use Bitcoin, Litecoin, sometimes you have to think about which output you want to spend. Right? You just bought a bunch of coins from an exchange, deposited to your wallet. You may not want to send that to someone because they may know that you bought 10 Bitcoins or something more, right? So this kind of stuff really hurts fungibility, which I think is really important for money. So I like to see Bitcoin, Litecoin kind of take further steps towards more privacy, something like confidential transactions or even better privacy technologies.
All right, now we have a question from the audience. Javier Suarez sent $10 in the super chat, and I thank you, Javier. Now I'm not going to endorse the first part of your question here, because, but the second part is I think it's cool. He says, "Hi Charlie, thoughts on Grincoin and Mimblewimble, and will Mimblewimble be on Litecoin?"
I really like Mimblewimble. So Mimblewimble's story is kind of cool, right? Someone just dropped the Mimblewimble paper like anonymously out of nowhere. And now there's a team working on this Grimcoin, trying to do it the right way. I like it. I follow it a bit. I think they're not out yet. They're releasing maybe next year. And it's kind of, it does privacy a totally different way. I like the way they're approaching it. It'll be hard to do Mimblewimble on Bitcoin or Litecoin because it'll require like kind of redoing the whole infrastructure. Definitely be a hard fork, so that's going to be very contentious. Yeah, we'll see where this technology goes, but I'm really, I'm pretty excited about it.
So, okay, this is interesting because when I hear the word Grincoin, I'm like, oh my God, another altcoin. But you're saying for Mimblewimble to work at its best, it's going to need its own coin.
It's different enough from Bitcoin and Litecoin that you can't just soft fork it, for example, into Bitcoin and Litecoin. Yeah, it changes the whole structure of like past transactions and blocks. So yeah, it will have to be a new coin. At least test it out on a new coin. If Litecoin eventually does want to implement Mimblewimble technologies, then it would require a pretty potentially controversial hard fork.
Well, hang on a second. All right, there you go. Well, Javier, that was a good question, dude. I didn't know about the Grincoin. Yeah, I'm learning something here today. It was great. Pound that like button, everybody. Okay, Charlie Lee. Well, looks like we've gotten toward the end of this show. Let's quickly though recap. Your thoughts about the Litecoin Summit, the dates it's happening. Give it a good promo there.
Yeah, so Litecoin Summit is September 14th and 15th in South San Francisco. It's going to be a really cool summit. I mean, don't want to kind of toot my own horn, but I'm just excited to see all these great speakers there. And if you want to come meet me and tell me how much I suck for what I did last year, come to Litecoin Summit and tell me about it.
Dude, no, you've done some very solid things here, man. We love you. Keep going.
Yeah. I think there's going to be lots of great stuff coming out of the Litecoin Summit. Should be fun.
Yeah, obviously you allude to a time where there was, there's a lot of stressful trolls out there, all these haters out there. Now, the time has passed. And you're going into this really positive event. This is going to be such a positive for Litecoin. Do you feel like there's a load off of your back now? You think are you feeling different than you were a few months ago and everything? When you were the biggest scapegoat on earth, all these trolls got a scapegoat. They have nothing better to do than scapegoat. But no, do you feel like a load's off your back?
I will not yet. when the price goes back to the high, I'll feel much better.
Okay.
Yeah, last year, I mean, it's been tough. I mean, last year, when I don't kind of talk about Litecoin much, people would hate on me for not talking about Litecoin. And if I do talk about Litecoin, people would hate on me for pumping the coin for my own financial benefits. So it's kind of damn if you do, damn if you don't. So it's been this way for me for quite a while. And I think it's probably in the foreseeable future too.
Okay, well, maybe it'll evolve into something different here. I think this event, it's a very positive thing. And you said darned if you do, darned if you don't. When you mentioned Decred though, whoa! I gotta tell you, everybody loves that for some reason. It's one of my big running jokes on here. If I say the word Decred, all of a sudden the Decred, oh my God, they come out of nowhere, dude. So they really loved you. I mean, you were like their top idol for a while. The Litecoin guy was the biggest guy in Decred. It was quite a time we were living in a year ago. All you newbies out there, but who knows? It's all cyclical. What's next? Any predictions? Any future positive things you want to bring out there before? I really thank you for giving me the time of day today to be on the show. It has been great, and I see huge bright future here for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. This is only the beginning. That's the way I conclude things. It's like we're so early in all of this. We're definitely very early.
Last year, I remember like early December when I actually tweeted that when the price is just going up like crazy, I tweeted that you have to be careful, don't invest more than you can afford to lose, because we could easily go into a bear market where the price drops 90%. And then I got all this hate from people saying that time has changed. We're no longer in 2013. Like the price will keep going up. There's ETFs, there's futures, there's ETFs coming. We won't see 90% drops ever again. But now we're here. So I think we'll see more of these ups and downs. Hang on to your roller coaster, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say the word roller coaster. So there was once Red Hot Chili Peppers has some roller coaster song. Anyway, roller coaster of love. That's what crypto is. All right, Charlie Lee. Well, thank you very much. Everybody, remember, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Like this video, pound that like button. We do a new show here every single day of the week. And This Week in Bitcoin is our wrap-up show on Friday. So keep on coming back here. Thanks again, Charlie Lee. Hopefully you'll be back in less than a year. But if not, you'll be back in a year. It'll be fun. Everybody, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video, check out the link section below. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day. See ya.